Hi, everybody, and welcome to Dance Teacher Pep Talk. This is a part 2 off of our most recent episode about helping our students to find the slowness in the busy season. And in that episode, I really talked a lot about how we can model and be, I guess for a better term, role models of the idea of slowing down because as teachers, we're not just teaching dance, but we have a huge influence on our students by how we live our lives, the energy, I should say, that we're bringing into the space. All of that really has such an influence on them. And aside from the dance teaching that we're doing, we really have so much to share and so much that we can bring into the classroom from the experiences that we've had in our lives to help guide them and to help them to understand that, yes, in this busy season, we can find ways to slow down. And so aside from us kind of sharing that or, opening that up as a concept to just finding slowness in our day-to-day, I was thinking up some ideas that we can also bring the slowness into the classroom. And I know that I gave a couple ideas in the previous episode, but I was thinking some more on some ideas. And so this is going to be just a short episode to help share some thoughts with you. And maybe you can implement these to help bring the slowness into your classroom space and how to honor that. So one idea is maybe one day in one of your classes, depending on what your schedule looks like, you take the time, even if it's just a portion of the class, to do a really nice yoga flow series where you're just kind of calming the body, you're bringing the awareness of breath to movement, and maybe ending it with a nice guided meditation that is specific to what your dancers are needing. Now, when I do guided meditation, I do it very differently depending on the class in front of me. So I don't just have like one standard thing that I go in and do. I really try to read the energy of the room and hear what they're needing that day. And I do my guided meditation based on that. And, so I could be doing a bunch of different meditations throughout my different classes through the night. But sometimes too, I may have one common goal that I want all the dancers to kind of have an idea about. And maybe then in all of my classes, I do a similar guided meditation. So totally up to you, but there are different ways that you can do that just to kind of help them settle into the body and, to bring some thoughts to mind that will help them in this concept and understanding of presence and slowing down and enjoying what is the season. In a jazz class, a fun one to do that I enjoy is doing a bluesy combination. So a slower jazz, kind of bluesy type of music, because, maybe we've been working on dynamics previously, specifically like hitting accents or being sharp or things like that. And now we're kind of going into like a different type of dynamic where we're slowing down. Can we work through flow? Can we work a little bit more gooey with our movement or whatnot? That can be a fun one to physically slow the movement down and to see what you can do with that. In ballet, maybe one day you challenge the class and yourself to really have a breath focus class because, it's always that joke that like you get off stage and you think, oh, did I even breathe that whole time? Or, we're huffing and puffing on the sides because we realized we were really holding our breath and we weren't even allowing ourselves to breathe through the performance. And so maybe taking a class where we're going to focus on cueing the breath. Now, I don't really feel like that's something that I do very often, but it would be a great thing to try out. So instead of cueing through like anatomical cues and things like that, maybe take some time to be like, okay, where's the inhale here? Where's the exhale? Where are we feeling the inhale? Where are we feeling the exhale? And using it throughout the whole class. And it doesn't have to be just ballet. I just used this as an example. But how does that breath move from the bar to the center to across the floor? And just seeing how we can work with that and helping the students to understand that the breath is there to help support the movement and how it can build the movement even further than where we were before when maybe we were holding our breath. So that's an idea. Another thing that really helps us to model slowing down in the season is not jam-packing our classes. And I made reference to this in the previous episode where I was saying, like, if you have an agenda of A, B, C, D, maybe you're only focusing on 2 of those items today, so that we're not like rushing through the process of the class, but that we're really taking the time on 2 specific areas and knowing that that's okay and that's going to help us reach our goals as well. And along with that too, the concept of jam-packing. Not jam-packing your rehearsal schedules, especially if you rehearse during the vacation. I know that a lot of studios do that because it's open studio time and you don't have your normal class schedule. So it's, you're bringing your team in, but maybe taking the time to really not jam-pack that and allowing the students to have that time and space to be enjoying the break, enjoying the time with the holidays. And, I understand it's like both sides, like you need the time and space to rehearse, but we also want to have that enjoyment of the slow down. So if you are able to, I really highly suggest not jam-packing that. Another idea that I thought of too is, taking, like I said in the episode before, about honoring the energy of the space. And, maybe the plan that you set for the class is not the plan that it's going to be for today. And maybe we focus more on like team building or community building activities within our class, because whether it is a team that you have going to perform or whether that is a class that is going to be performing together for recital, we need to have a sense of team and community because we're all taking a piece to the stage together. We have to find that unity. And so maybe taking the class time to do some team building activities or community building activities can be a fun change up and another way to honor a slowing down in the season. One activity that I really enjoyed doing with the team at a holiday party was having different scenes and writing them down on an index card, giving them to different groups, and they would have to like come up with the scene, whether it was an active scene using pantomime and dance movement, or if it was just a pose that was held. So like an example might be reindeer flying through the sky, or like walking out on the tundra or something like that. And then like, how can we use different elements to be showcased through the movements that we're doing or through the poses that we're holding. It could be lights twinkling on a house or something like that. And, really just kind of developing different scenes or settings that you're wanting the dancers to try to put together creatively and to work together to do that. So I know these were just a handful of things, but over on our Instagram at Dance Teacher Pep Talk, I tend to share a lot of my ideas there. But I know that there is a lot of people that just listen to the podcast only and don't check out the Instagram. And so I wanted to make sure that I was bringing those ideas that are over there here so that you're able to get that as well. So I'm going to include these thoughts that I just made on our Instagram today, or sometime this week, but I wanted to share here as well so that you can maybe try out some of these ideas as a way of sharing how we can slow down and to also model that for our students. All right, I hope you all enjoy these ideas and have a beautiful week. I will talk with you soon.